Hi, students and friends. This is your host and teacher, AYAZ. You're watching Learn and Teach by AYAZ. I'm continuing my O-level past papers session, and this time I have selected IGCSE 0620 and variant is 21. It's of May-June 2024. The total time, it's 45 minutes. It's paper 2, multiple choice for the extended version. You have to answer all the questions. There are 40 questions on this paper. You are allowed to use calculator for the instructions. The total mark for this paper is 40. A priority table is printed in the question paper like this. So let's start with the question number 1. Here's question number 1. A gas is heated. The pressure is kept constant. Which statement describes the behavior of the particles in the gas? A. The particles move faster and become closer together. Now you're heating the gas, which means the particle will move faster. This statement is correct, but they will move further apart and which means there will be more spacing between these. But they are saying they become closer together. This is incorrect. B, the particle move faster and become further apart. This looks correct to me. For convenience, I'm reading the other statements also. The particles move more slowly. When they are saying move more slowly, no need to read the other statement. This must be incorrect. The last one, they are again saying the particles move more slowly. It's incorrect. So B must be the right answer in this case. Number 2, a mixture of ice and water is left to stand and the ice melts. Which row describes what happens as the ice is melting? Now, the process of melting continues. They are not saying melted, it's melting. So, definitely the temperature of the mixture stays the same. So, either C is correct or D is correct. No need to check A and B. A and B is incorrect. Temperature will not increase. What about the energy change? Average kinetic energy of particles decrease. This is incorrect. Energy is used to overcome attractive forces. This is correct. So D must be the right answer in this case. Move to next question, which is number 3. Hydrogen chloride gas MrHCl 36.5 is released at P in the apparatus shown. The universal indicator paper turns red after 38 seconds. Here's apparatus shown. You can see P here, and there's universal indicator paper. The experiment is repeated using sulfur dioxide gas. Sulfur dioxide gas is SO2. MR of SO2 is also given. It's 64. What is the result for sulfur dioxide gas? Now, looking at the MR, it clearly shows that the time taken by the sulfur dioxide must be higher than HCl. The reason is that it has higher MR than HCl, so it will take more time. What about the effect on universal indicator paper? Like HCl, SO2 is also acidic, so it will also turn it to red. So universal indicator paper turning to red, either C is correct or D is correct. Both A and B is incorrect. And the time taken, it will be higher than the time taken by hydrogen chloride. So D must be the right answer in this case. Moving to next question, number 4. 4 statements about atoms are listed. 1. The center of an atom is positively charged. Number 2, protons and electrons are located in the nucleus. 3, protons and electrons have the same mass. 4, most of the mass of an atom is in the nucleus. Which statements are correct? I'm reading the statements again. Number 1, the center of an atom is positively charged. This is correct because in the center you have protons and neutrons. And you know that protons carry positive charge. No charge on neutrons, so overall the charge must be positive. So one is correct. So either A is correct or B is correct. Both C and D is incorrect. Always try to narrow down choices. This will make your life easy. Number two, protons and electrons are located in the nucleus. This is incorrect. Electrons are not in the nucleus. They revolve around the nucleus. Electrons revolve around the nucleus. Number three, protons and electrons have the same mass. This is also incorrect. Electrons have lower mass value than protons. If I'm not wrong, the mass of electron is 1 divided by 1840 times of mass of proton or neutron. So this is incorrect. Number four, most of the mass of an atom is in the nucleus. This is correct because both protons and neutrons have equal mass. That is one. And the center part is heavier one. So most of the mass of an atom relies in the nucleus of an atom. So 1 and 4 is the correct statement. B must be the right answer in this case. Number 5. The electronic configurations of two elements are given. Element L 2, 8, 8, 1. Element M 2, 8, 4. Which row identifies the group number and the period number for element L and element M? Now looking at the electronic configuration for element L, you can easily decide it must be in group 1. The reason is that the valence electron, it's 1. So it must be in group 1. What about the period number? If you look at the configuration, there will be 4 shells. So it must be in 4th period. 4th period. What about element M? 284. 4 is the valence electron in M. So it must be in group 4. What about the period? There are 3 electron shells. So it must be in 3rd. Looking at the choices, element L, group 1, period 4. So either A is correct or B is correct. What about element M, group 4 and period number 3? So A must be the right answer in this case. All the other choices are incorrect. Going to next question, which is number 6. Which statement explains why isotopes of the same element have the same chemical properties? Now, chemical properties, it's associated with the number of electrons in the valence shell or electronic configuration. Associated with the number of valence electrons or electronic configuration. Now I'm reading the choices. A, they have different numbers of protons in this nucleus. In their nucleus, this is incorrect. Isotopes have same number of protons. B, they have different number of neutrons in their nucleus. No, this is not. Chemical properties are not related to neutrons. The statement is correct about the isotopes, but it's not related to the isotopes having same chemical properties. They have the same electronic configuration. This must be the right statement. For your convenience, I'm reading the last statement. They have the same number of electrons as protons. This is not the reason for the atoms having same chemical property. They are having same electronic configuration. So C must be the right answer in this case. Moving to next question, which is 7. Which statements about potassium chloride are correct? Potassium chloride, it's an ionic compound. Potassium is a metal, chlorine is a non-metal. Compound formed between these two must be ionic. Number 1, it conducts electricity when solid because its ions are free to move. This is incorrect. It has to be in the molten state in order to conduct electricity. Ions are free in the molten state, not in the solid state. So if one is wrong, so automatically A and B is incorrect. Either C is correct or D is correct. Number two, it has a high melting point because it has strong intermolecular forces. This is also incorrect. The reason is that it does not have strong intermolecular force. It's having strong electrostatic force. Three, its structure is a giant lattice of alternating positive and negative ions. This is correct. It's having a structure with alternating positive and negative ions. Four, it is soluble in water. This is also correct. 3 and 4 is correct. So D must be the right answer in this case. 8. How many electrons are shared in one molecule of nitrogen and one molecule of ethene? For this, you should know the bond formed in one molecule of nitrogen. Nitrogen, where is nitrogen? Nitrogen is in group 5. Here is nitrogen. 5 means it needs 3 electrons to complete its valence shell. So each nitrogen atom will contribute 3 of its valence electrons to form triple covalent bond. So the bond must be like this for nitrogen molecule. What about ethene? The formula for ethene is C2H4. It's a hydrocarbon having one double covalent bond between 2 carbon atoms. Structure will be like this. E dash line represents 2 electrons. So for nitrogen, 3 multiplied by 2, 6. So either C is correct or D is correct. Both A and B is incorrect. What about ethene? Methane, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 multiplied by 2, 12. It must be having 12 electrons. So 12 electrons for ethene and 6 electrons for nitrogen. So C must be the right answer in this case. D is the wrong choice here. 9. What is the total number of electrons in one molecule of ammonia NH3? Now they are saying total number of electrons in one molecule of NH3. Nitrogen is in group 5. It's having 7 electrons. And hydrogen, it's having 1 electron. So the formula for NH3, it will be like this. We need to show the electron for each of these. For nitrogen, there will be 2 electrons. I'm using dot. In the first shell, in the second shell, it must be having 5 electrons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For hydrogen, I'm using the red pen, red color. This is hydrogen. This one is also hydrogen. Now I'm showing the electrons for hydrogen. 1, 2, 3. There will be 3 hydrogen, so there will be 3 electrons. So now let's count the total number of electrons here. So we have 2 electrons in the first shell for nitrogen and 5 electrons in the valence shell. 2 plus 5 and 3 electrons coming from hydrogen. So 2 plus 5 plus 3, 10. C must be the right answer in this case. Number 10. When heated, copper 2 oxide CuO reacts with ammonia NH3. Here's the reaction equation. 3CuO plus 2NH3 gives 3Cu plus N2 plus 3H2O. 8.5 gram of ammonia reacts with an excess of copper 2 oxide to produce a 26.4 gram of copper. What is the percentage percentage yield of copper in this reaction? You know the formula for percentage yield. We have experimental value multiplied by 100 divided by theoretical value. So we have the experimental value, it's given we need to find the theoretical value. So we have 2 moles of ammonia producing 3 moles of copper. Let's find the MR of NH3. Here's nitrogen. For MR, we need the AR of nitrogen, which is 14. Hydrogen, it's 1. So MR, NH3, 14 plus 3 gives 17. This becomes 17. 2 multiplied by 17, 34 grams. What about copper? Here is copper. 64 is the AR of copper. So we have more than 1 mole of copper. So MR copper will be 3 multiplied by 64. $192. So 34 grams gives 192 gram copper. Therefore, 8.5 gram gives X gram of copper. So X is equal to 192 multiplied by 8.5 divided by 34. 192 multiplied by 8.5 divided by 34. This will be experimental value, 48. So percent yield, 26.4 multiplied by 100 divided by 48. What you will get? 26.4 multiplied by 100 divided by 48. 55. C must be the right answer in this case, 55%. 11. What is the empirical formula of ethanoic acid? You should know the formula of ethanoic acid. Ethanoic acid is 3H3 COOH. Or you can even write C2H4O2. Now simplifying this, you will get CH2O. So B must be the correct answer in this case. 12. Magnesium chloride MgCl2 contains magnesium ions and chloride ions. How many chloride ions are present in 2 moles of magnesium chloride? The formula of magnesium chloride is provided to us, MgCl2. So MgCl2, it's 1 mole, MgCl2 gives 2 moles of Cl minus ions. So they are saying 2 moles, therefore 2 moles give X moles of Cl minus ions. So X becomes 2 multiplied by 2 is equal to 4. 4 moles of Cl minus ions. Now we need to calculate the ions, total number of chloride ions. So we need to multiply it by Avogadro number. Avogadro number is 6.02 into 10 to the power 23. So chloride ions equal to 4 multiplied by 6.02 into 10 raised to power 23. 4 multiplied by 6.02, 24.08. 24.08 into 10 raised to power 23, or it must be 2.408 into 10 raised to power 24. So C must be the right answer in this case. Number 13. A metal object is electroplated with copper. One electrode is a metal object and the other electrode is copper. The electrolyte is aqueous copper 2 sulfate, which row shows the ionic half equation for the reaction at the anode and the observation of the electrolyte. Now, if you are having copper to be electroplated, electroplating and metal object. So it means the copper will move towards the metal object electrode. In this case, it must be cathode. Cathode must be of metal object. And in this case, the reaction must be happening like this. Cu plus 2 electrons gives Cu. In this way, it will electroplate the metal object. So on the other hand, what will happen at the anode? Anode must be of copper. It's going to dissolve in order to compensate the loss of Cu2 plus ion of the copper 2 plus from copper 2 sulfate. So copper anode will dissolve, Cu will give Cu plus 2 plus 2 electrons. So either C is correct or D is correct. A and B is incorrect. Now what will happen to the color of the solution? We are saying observation of the electrolyte. So the blue color does not fade because anode is dissolving in order to compensate the loss of Cu2 plus 2 ion in the solution. So blue color does not change. So D must be the right answer in this case. 14. Which statement about electrolysis is correct? Now electrolysis is made up of two terms. Electro means electricity. Lysis means breakdown. So you can write breakdown by the passage of current. Now what you are going to break down in this? We are breakdowning the ionic substances. Ionic substances. So electrolysis is a breakdown of the ionic substance by the passage of current. A chemical energy is converted to electrical energy. This is incorrect. The reason is that in this electrical energy is converting into chemical energy because electricity is used to break down the ionic substance. B, electrons flow through the electrolyte. This is also incorrect because ions flow through the electrolyte. C, ionic compounds are broken down. This must be the right answer as I have already mentioned here. Last statement, metals are formed at the positive electrode. This is also incorrect. Metals are formed at negative electrodes. Cathode is the negative electrode. It's not positive electrode. So this is also incorrect. Number 15. The reaction between hydrogen and oxygen releases 486 kilojoule per mole of energy. Here's the reaction equation. 2H2 gas plus O2 gas gives 2H2O gas. So they are saying releases 486 kilojoule per mole of energy, which means it must be delta H here must be in minus 486 kilojoule per mole. The bond energy of HH is 436 kilojoule per mole and that of HO is 464 kilojoule per mole. What is the bond energy of O double bond O? You know the formula? In order to calculate the delta H change in enthalpy, we need to subtract the energy change or the energy released from the energy used in breaking the bond. Energy used in breaking the bond minus energy released in making of bond. So delta H is provided. It's minus 486. I'm going to write it down here. Minus 486. Energy used in breaking the bond. We have 2 moles of H2. 2 moles of H2 means we need to multiply 2 by the bond energy of H bond H, which is 436. So 436 minus Now, O double bond O, we need to find. So I'm going to consider this as X minus energy release. We have 2 moles of H2O. You know the formula of H2O, it's HOH. There will be 2 HO bond in 1 mole of H2O, which means there will be 4 HO bonds in 2 moles of water, that is H2O. So we need to multiply 4 by 464. So what you will get? 2 multiplied by 436. 436 multiplied by 2, 872. 872 minus X minus 4 multiplied by 464. 464. 1856. 1856. Or you are going to write it down like this. X is equal to 1856 it must be plus. It's not minus, it must be plus. Minus 872 minus 486. So 1856 minus 872 is equal to minus 486. $498. So C must be the right answer in this case. 16. Which reaction pathway diagram shows the reaction that will give out the most energy? The scale on the y-axis is the same in each diagram. Now they are saying the reaction that give out the most energy. Give out means it must be exothermic. Exothermic reactions product must be at the lower energy state than the reactants. So automatically you're going to omit the choices B and C. So either A is correct or D is correct. One more thing, you are saying give out the most energy. So if you look at this in the choices A and D, A is the one in which most of the energy is released to the surrounding. So A must be the right answer in this case. Moving to next question. 17. When calcium carbonate is heated strongly, a gas is given off. Which word describes this change? A, chemical, B, exothermic, C, physical, D, reduction. So calcium carbonate is CaCO3. If you heat it down, we get calcium oxide and carbon dioxide gas. Carbon dioxide is the gas which is given off. It's a chemical change. So automatically choice A must be the right answer in this case. All the other choices are incorrect. It's not exothermic because the reaction takes energy, which means it's endothermic. C is physical, it's not physical change, it's chemical change. D is reduction, it's not reduction. There isn't any change in the oxidation number of any elements here. So A must be the right answer in this case. 18. Powdered magnesium carbonate is added to excess dilute hydrochloric acid. The total volume of gas produced is measured over time. Graph of the results is shown. Here's a graph. Now they're seeing the experiment is repeated, but the concentration of the hydrochloric acid is doubled. All other conditions are kept the same. Which statements about the second experiment are correct? Now in statement 1, they are saying the final volume of gas is 360 centimeter cube. So does the gas produce get doubled due to the doubling of concentration of hydrochloric acid? This is not the case. This must be incorrect because you have powdered magnesium carbonate, and the gas produced depends on the limiting reactant, which is powdered magnesium carbonate here. It's not depending on the hydrochloric acid. So the final volume of the gas does not increase. Number two, the reaction finishes before 90 seconds. This is the correct statement because if you double the concentration, the reaction will take place at a faster rate and it will definitely finish before 90 seconds. So 2 is correct. What about 3? 3, the activation energy of the reaction is lower. The activation energy is depends on the temperature. They are not raising the temperature. So there's no effect on the activation energy of the reaction due to doubling the concentration of hydrochloric acid. So 2 must be the right answer in this case. So D is the only choice which is correct in this case. 19. Which statements explain why increasing the temperature changes the rate of a chemical reaction? 1. It increases the activation energy. This is incorrect because increasing the temperature does not increase the activation energy. Instead, it reduces the activation energy. So A and B is automatically incorrect response here. So either C is correct or D is correct. 2, it increases the frequency of collisions between the reacting particles. Yes, it's correct because if you increase the temperature, the particles have more energy. They will collide with a higher frequency. Number 3, it increases the kinetic energy of the reacting particles. Yes, the increasing temperature will also increase the kinetic energy of the particles. So this is also correct statement. 4, it increases the number of particles per unit volume. No, they have just raised the temperature. It will only affect the kinetic energy of the reacting particles, not the number of particles per unit volume. So 2 and 3 is correct, which means C is the right statement, the right choice for this question. Moving to next question, it's 20. Hydrogen is made by reacting carbon with steam. The equation for the reaction is shown. C solid plus H2O gas, reversible sign H2 gas plus CO gas. The forward reaction is endothermic. Which row describes changes in the pressure and the temperature that will both shift the position of equilibrium to the right hand side? The forward reaction is endothermic, which means the delta H must be positive in the forward direction. Now, if you look at the number of moles of gases on both sides of the equation, we have 1 mole of gas on the reactant side, and we have 1 plus 1, 2 moles on the product side. So if you increase the pressure, the equilibrium will shift to the side with less number of moles. But in this case, we want to shift the equilibrium to the right hand side. So pressure must be lower. So either A is correct or B is correct. C and D is incorrect. What about the temperature? Forward is endothermic, which means it will favor high temperature. So temperature must be high in this case. So B is the right answer in this case. 21. Which row shows the conditions used for the conversion of sulfur dioxide to sulfur trioxide in the contact process? This is something which you have to learn by heart. You know the conditions. Pressure is 2 atm, temperature is 450 degrees centigrade, and the catalyst used is vanadium 5 oxide. So B is the right answer in this case. Number 22, the equation for the reaction of magnesium with carbon dioxide is shown. 2Mg plus CO2 gives 2MgO plus C. Which statement about this reaction is correct? A. Magnesium is oxidized and carbon dioxide is reduced. Now, if you look at the equation, magnesium gained oxygen, which means it is oxidized. This is oxidation. And carbon dioxide, it has lost oxygen, which means it's reduction. So this statement looks correct to me. For your convenience, I am reading the other statements. B, magnesium is reduced and carbon dioxide oxidized. This is incorrect. C, magnesium and carbon dioxide are both oxidized. This is also incorrect. D, magnesium and carbon dioxide are neither oxidized nor reduced. This is also incorrect. So A must be the right answer in this case. 23. Chlorine displaces bromine from aqueous potassium bromide. The ionic equation for the reaction is shown. Cl2 plus 2Br minus gives 2Cl minus plus Br2. Which statement about this reaction is correct? A. Bromide ions act as an oxidizing agent. If you look at the change in oxidation number of bromide, it's minus on the reactant side, and on the product side, Br2, it will carry 0, which means the oxidation number has increased. So it's an oxidation. Because oxidation number increased. So it means if it's undergoing oxidation, so it must be the reducing agent. Bromide ion is a reductant or reducing agent. So this is incorrect. B, bromide ions are oxidized as electrons are lost. This statement is correct because here bromide ions are losing electrons and it's oxidized. For your convenience, I'm checking the other statements also. Chlorine acts as a reducing agent. This is incorrect because in this reaction, chlorine will be acting as a oxidizing agent, not reducing agent. As it oxidizes bromide ion to bromine. D, chlorine is reduced as electrons are lost. Now here chlorine is reduced. This is correct because but electrons are not lost, they are gained. So this is also incorrect. B must be the right answer in this case. Number 24, which gas is produced when ammonium chloride is warmed with aqueous sodium hydroxide? Ammonium chloride is ammonium salt. And sodium hydroxide is alkali. Whenever alkali reacts with ammonium salts, they releases or liberate ammonia gas. So the only gas produced is ammonia here. So A must be the right answer in this case. 25, which equation represents a solution of ethanoic acid in water? Remember ethanoic acid? The formula of ethanoic acid is CH3COOH. Now, it means that either C is correct or D is correct. A and B is incorrect because A and B, it shows the formula of methanoic acid. It's not of ethanoic acid. Now, ethanoic acid, it's a weak acid. Whenever weak acid dissociate or ionizes in water, will show reversible sign, which indicates incomplete or partial dissociation of the acid in water. So here, C must be the right answer. D is incorrect. 26. Four statements about the reactions of oxides of dilute hydrochloric acid and with aqueous sodium hydroxide are listed. 1. Aluminum oxide reacts with both dilute hydrochloric acid and aqueous sodium hydroxide. 2. Calcium oxide reacts with both dilute hydrochloric acid and aqueous sodium hydroxide. 3. Copper 2 oxide reacts with dilute hydrochloric acid but not with aqueous sodium hydroxide. 4. Sulfur dioxide does not react with either dilute hydrochloric acid or aqueous sodium hydroxide. Which statements are correct? Now look at the first statement. Aluminum oxide, will it react with both hydrochloric acid and aqueous sodium hydroxide? Yes, because it's amphoteric. Amphoteric oxides are those oxides which react with both acid and base or alkali. Amphoteric oxide. This statement is correct. So if one is correct, so either A is correct or B is correct. Both C and D is incorrect. Now I have narrowed down the choices. Let's check the other responses. Number 2. Statement number 2 is calcium oxide reacts with both dilute hydrochloric acid and aqueous sodium hydroxide. Calcium oxide is a base, so it will react with hydrochloric acid. It won't react with sodium hydroxide. So this statement is incorrect. 3. Copper 2 oxide reacts with dilute hydrochloric acid but not with aqueous sodium hydroxide. This is correct because copper 2 oxide is a base. It will react with acid, but not with other base or alkali. What about number 4? Sulfur dioxide does not react with either hydrochloric acid or aqueous sodium hydroxide. This is incorrect because sulfur dioxide do react with sodium hydroxide. Sulfur dioxide is acidic oxide. So here statement number 1 and 3 is correct. So B is the right answer in this case. Moving to next MCQ, which is 27. Which statement about elements in period 3 of the periodic table is correct? Now here's the periodic table. We have period number 1, period number 2, period number 3, 4, so on. These are the periods. They are talking about the elements in the period 3. So it's starting from sodium and ending on argon or AR. A. Aluminum is a non-metal in group 3. In group 3, we have metal. We don't have non-metal. Aluminum is below the staircase line, so aluminum must be a metal. So this is incorrect. It's not a non-metal. B. Argon is in group 8 and has 8 electrons in its outer shell, electron shell. This is correct because argon is in group 8 and it has 8 valence electrons. So this statement is correct. For your convenience, I am looking at the other statements also. C. Magnesium is in group 2 and has 3 electrons in its outer shell. This is incorrect because in group 2, the elements of metals have 2 electrons in their outer shell. This is incorrect. D. Sulfur is a metal in group 6. It's also incorrect. Sulfur is a not metal, it's a non-metal. So B is the right answer in this case. 28. Which row describes the structure of group 7 elements and the trend in their reactivity down the group? Group 7 is halogen. We have halogens here. Starting from fluorine and ending on tennessine. What about the structure? They all exist in the diatomic state. So either A is correct or B is correct. Both C and D is incorrect. What about the reactivity? The trend in reactivity is that it decreases down the group. So B must be the right answer in this case. A is incorrect. 29. Some information about 4 elements P, Q, R, and S is shown. We have melting point in centigrade, density in gram per centimeter cube, color of chloride. Which elements are transition elements? You know the transition elements? Transition elements are between group 2 and group 3. They are transition elements. Now, transition elements, they must have high melting point, high density, and form colored compounds. Now, I'm going to narrow down the choices. Q can't be the transition metal or transition element because the color of the chloride is white. So, P, R, and S. The melting point and density of P is high, and the color of the chloride is pink, which means it can be the transition element. What about R? Melting point, density, both are high, as well as the color of the chloride is purple in color. So it is also a transition element. What about S? The melting point is low. Color of the chloride is okay, but the melting point is very low, so it can't be the transition element. So P and R must be the transition element in this case. So A is the right answer. 30. Propanoic acid is a carboxylic acid. It has similar chemical properties to ethanoic acid. Which statements are correct? A. Number 1. Aqueous propanoic acid is a weaker acid than dilute hydrochloric acid. This is correct because carboxylic acids are weak acid. So this statement is correct. Number 2, propanoic acid partially ionizes in aqueous solution. This is also correct because weak acids does not ionizes completely in an aqueous solution. 3, propanoic acid reacts with ethanol to form propyl ethanoic. The propanoic acid will definitely react with ethanol, but it will not form propyl ethanoid. It will form ethyl propanoid. So this is incorrect statement. Statement number 1 and 2 is correct. So B must be the right answer in this case. 31. Iron rust in the presence of oxygen and water. Which statements about the rusting of iron are correct? Number 1. Anhydrous iron 2 oxide is produced when iron rusts. Now, when iron rusts, it will form hydrated oxide. It does not form anhydrous oxide. Water will be the part of the oxide. So 1 is incorrect. Statement number 2, iron rusts more quickly when attached to a piece of zinc. This is also incorrect because in this case, zinc will be acting as a protection for iron. It won't allow iron to rust. Instead, zinc will react or corrode in preference to iron. So this statement is also incorrect. What about number 3? Coating the iron with plastic prevents the iron from rusting. This is correct. 4. Iron loses electrons when it rusts. This is also correct. 3 and 4 is correct. So D must be the right answer in this case. 32. An iron nail is added to aqueous copper 2 sulfate and a different iron nail is added to aqueous magnesium sulfate. The results are shown. So with aqueous copper 2 sulfate, iron replaced copper from copper 2 sulfate because if you see in the result, there's a brown solid on the nail which indicates copper being reduced here. What about iron nail in aqueous magnesium sulfate? It's no reaction, which means that iron does not react here. Iron is not reacting in this case. Which statement is correct? A. Copper atoms are oxidized more easily than magnesium atoms. This is incorrect because if you recall the series, magnesium is at the top of the series, then copper. So magnesium will oxidize in preference to copper. So this is incorrect. B. Copper atoms are reduced more easily than iron ions. This is also incorrect. C. Iron atoms are oxidized more easily than copper atoms. This is correct because iron is above copper and it will lose electron or react in preference to copper. Fe more reactive than copper. Looking at the information in the results, so this must be the right statement. For your convenience, I'm reading the last statement. Iron atoms are reduced more easily than copper ions. This is wrong. Iron atoms are not reduced, they are oxidized. So C must be the right answer in this case. MCQ number 33. Which pollutant leads to the deoxygenation of water in ponds and lakes? A. Fertilizers containing nitrates and phosphates. This must be the right answer. For your convenience, I'm reading the other statements. Toxic metal compounds, this is incorrect. Combustion products of fossil fuels, this is also incorrect. Combustion products of fossil fuels include carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and unburned carbon. It's not responsible for deoxygenation of water. Acid rain, it's responsible for the deforestation, killing marine life, dissolved metal structures, etc. So A must be the right answer in this case. 34. Which statement identifies a sample of water as pure? Now they are saying water sample as pure. A, it melts at room temperature. Water does not melt at room temperature. The melting point of water is lower than room temperature. B, it turns anhydrous copper 2 sulfate blue. It does not indicate that water is pure, because the water solution can also turn anhydrous copper 2 sulfate blue. C, it turns hydrated copper 2 chloride from blue to pink. This is also incorrect. It boils at 100 degrees centigrade. This statement is correct. So D is the right answer in this case. 35. Oxides of nitrogen are produced by car engines. In a catalytic converter, oxides of nitrogen are removed by reacting them with compound X. Which row describes the type of reaction oxides of nitrogen undergo and identifies compound X? Now, the reaction of oxides of nitrogen is that it get reduced to N2. It's reduction. And the reaction that happens in catalytic converter is between carbon monoxide and nitrogen monoxide, that the products are N2 plus CO2. So it's reduction, and the compound X is carbon monoxide. So D must be the right answer in this case. 36. What is a disadvantage of producing ethanol using the catalytic addition of steam to ethene? A, the energy cost is low. We don't have a low energy cost in catalytic addition of steam to ethene. The energy cost is high, so this is incorrect. B, the process is continuous. The process is continuous. The statement is correct, and this is not disadvantage. This is advantage, that the process is continuous. But the statement is wrong, as they are asking for disadvantage. See, the process uses a non-renewable raw material. This is correct, because it uses ethene, which is obtained from crude oil. Crude oil is non-renewable raw material. For convenience, I am reading the last statement. Ethanol is pure. This is again not disadvantage. So this is also incorrect. C must be the right answer in this case. Moving to next MCQ. Which statement about the polymer PET is correct? PET is polyester, is used for different purposes. They are asking about the correct statement for PET. A, it can be broken down into its monomers and repolymerized. This statement looks correct to me. B, it's an addition polymer. This is incorrect, because it's condensation polymer. It is produced along with the release of a simple molecule like water. See, it's a polyamide. This is wrong. It's polyester. D, it is made from amino acid monomer. This is also incorrect. It's made from dicarboxylic acids and diol. Acids and diol. So A must be the right answer for MCQ number 37. Moving to next MCQ, which is 38. The formula of 5 compounds are listed. 1 C4H10, 2 C2H5OH, 3 C4H9OH, 4 C4H9COOH, 5 C5H11OH. Which compounds are in the same homologous series? This is alkane. C4H10, because it's following general formula CnH2n plus 2. It's an alkane. 2, 3, and 5. These are alcohol. because we are following general formula CnH2n plus 1 OH. And we have only one carboxylic acid. So obviously 2, 3, and 5. B is the right answer in this case. Number 39. Propane reacts with chlorine. Which statements about this reaction are correct? Number 1, ultraviolet light is used to provide the activation energy. This is correct statement. 2, propane undergoes an addition reaction. This is incorrect because it undergoes substitution reaction. Now, if number 2 is incorrect, so obviously A and C is incorrect. Either B is correct or D is correct. 3, one of the product is CH3CH2Cl. The formula for propane is CH3CH2CH3. So you can't get this CH3CH2Cl. So this is also incorrect. Number 4, one of the product is HCl. So we have 1 and 4 as correct statements. So B must be the right answer in this case. Last MCQ, number 40. Which statement about chromatography is correct? A, it is not possible for two different substances to have the same RF value. This is incorrect. Because it is possible that two different substances, they may have the same RF value. B, it is only possible to use chromatography on substances which have a color. This is also incorrect. We can use locating agent for the colored substances. C, it is possible to use chromatography on colored substances using a locating agent. This is the right statement. For your convenience, I am reading the last statement. The RF value of a substance is equal to the distance traveled by the solvent divided by the distance traveled by the substance. This is incorrect. The correct formula is the distance traveled by the substance divided by the distance traveled by the solvent. So C is the right statement in this case. Thanks for watching. Press like and share my videos. For more videos, subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon.